Hello and welcome to the channel. If you've struggled in the past with sticking to a specific budget, this will be a great video to help you get back on track. Or maybe you currently have a budget that works for you right now, but you'd like to see what else is out there and what's available to you. Either way, this simple, effective method can help you manage your money and make sure you're taking care of your needs, indulging in some wants, and still have money left over to save and pay off some debt. In today's video, we're going to be going over the amazingly effective budgeting method called the 50-30-20 rule. And one of the things I love most about this strategy is that anyone can do it. It's not based on a specific dollar amount, it's based on what you actually make. So how exactly does this 50-30-20 rule work? So it suggests that you allocate 50% of your after-tax income towards your needs, 30% towards your wants, and the last 20% towards debt payment and savings. So let's break down each one of these categories. The first category are your needs. These are essential expenses that you have to spend money on every single month. These are things like your rent or monthly mortgage payment, groceries, utilities, or even transportation. This category contains the things that you cannot live without. I know there are a lot of things we think we can't live without, but these are the real things we actually cannot live without. Now, the next category are your wants. These are the non-essential expenses that you choose to spend your money on. These are things like dining out, entertainment, or even travel. I understand there will be times where specific expenses do overlap each other or maybe switch from wants to needs or vice versa. I completely understand that. So just do your best when categorizing each expense, because there will be things that you feel like you absolutely need because it makes your life easier, but in reality, it's actually a want. And then we have the last category, which is savings and debt repayment. This category is going to include your emergency fund, your retirement savings, your investing, and other financial goals, as well as debt repayment. So those three categories are going to be the foundation of this strategy. So as a quick recap, you have your needs, you have your wants, and then you have your savings/debt repayment. So now that you understand each specific category, let's talk about how we actually use this 50-30-20 rule in our everyday budget. First, you're going to need to calculate your after-tax income. This is the money you have left over after you've paid all your taxes. So pretty much the money that actually makes it to your bank account after you get paid. So if you have a W-2 income, the IRS makes this process really easy for you because they take all their taxes up front. So after that, you want to sit down and actually determine what your actual needs are when it comes to your expenses. So you're going to add up all your necessary expenses and make sure it doesn't come out to being more than 50% of your actual net income. And remember, these are things like your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, things that are absolutely a necessity that you cannot live without. So let's say your after-tax income is $4,000 a month. You're going to take that $4,000 and multiply it times 50%, and what you're left with is $2,000. That means your needs should not exceed $2,000 a month. So after you're done with that, next you want to find out what your actual wants are when it comes to your expenses. These are all the non-essentials. Again, just because it makes your life easier doesn't mean it's a need. Now with this category, you want to make sure it doesn't exceed 30% of your after-tax income. So just remember, your biggest challenge is going to be separating those wants from those needs. But with this strategy, it makes the process a lot easier because you know ahead of time there is going to be money allocated strictly for your wants. And that's totally different than a lot of budgeting strategies out there because their philosophy is we want to cut the wants altogether. And we both know that doesn't turn out well. But this category is making sure you actually have a life where you can do the things that you love to do. Things like eating out, traveling, or catching a movie. And the key is to still do these things, but understand you're doing these things within a specific budget that you set ahead of time. So using that same example of having $4,000 a month income after taxes, you're going to take that $4,000 and multiply it times 30%. And that'll give you $1,200 that you can allocate specifically towards your wants every single month, which definitely seems reasonable. And then the next category will be your savings and your debt repayment. So you're going to take that last 20% and you're going to divide it between your savings and your debt. And if you have debt, make sure paying off the debt is more of a priority than the savings. And I'm not saying don't save money. What I'm saying is that if you have that last 20% and you're going to break it up, it doesn't have to be 50-50. It could be 70% going towards the paying down your debt, and the last 30% could be your savings. Especially since your debts usually hold a higher interest rate than whatever you would get if you were to save your money. Because believe it or not, there are credit cards out there that hold interest rates as high as 36%. So this budget is great at focusing on paying off your debt. So that remaining 20% actually comes out to $800 a month. So now you can see why this simple budgeting plan is so effective. It actually allows you to be accountable for all of your income, but still giving you the opportunity to actually enjoy your money. And you can even simplify it even more by putting your bills or your debt payments or your savings on auto pay. That way it just happens without you even thinking about it. So now that you actually understand the 50-30-20 rule, you may be wondering, what do I do if my needs are already above the 50% threshold? And you're not alone, that's actually very common. The most important thing is to not get discouraged before you even start. You're just gonna start wherever you are, and then slowly but surely you're gonna cut back wherever you can. Here's an example of what I mean. Let's say you're making $4,000 a month, but your needs are actually 60% of your income. Remember, the goal of this budgeting strategy is to keep things simple. So I would say maybe start off with a 60-20-20 budgeting plan. That way you're still covering your wants, your needs, and your savings goals. Or let's say your needs are 75% of your income. Then maybe try something like a 75-15-10 or even a 75-25. Just make sure to not beat yourself up because we all have to start somewhere. And since you understand the core principles of the strategy now, you can start off wherever you need to start off with the goal of reaching the 50-30-20 mark. And when your income increases or maybe your expenses lower, you may have to revisit the plan and adjust the numbers towards your situation at that time. Also, I do want to point out that if your expenses are already below that 50% mark or maybe that 30% mark, that doesn't mean you need to start spending more money. Just take that opportunity to save and invest more. So by following the 50-30-20 rule, you're able to make sure you're taking care of your basic needs, enjoying some wants, and building a strong financial foundation for your future. I hope this video has been helpful and gives you a great foundation for starting a budget. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more financial content, and I'll see you in the next video.